life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is the American dream. This is what we strive for, and from the time we're kids, this is why we're told that our parents go to work and we go to school to strive for this happiness. But have you ever considered how intimately related sleep and happiness are? My name's Ryan Davis. I'm a senior at UNCW, and today we're going to talk about just that correlation. We're going to talk about it in three parts. The first will be sleep and happiness and how they're directly related. The second will be sleep, mental health, and cognition. And the third will be sleep and emotion. Let's begin with sleep and happiness. The National Sleep Foundation recommends 7 hours of sleep a night for those who are 18 years and older. However, recent studies show that only 42% of Americans reach this number. This is astonishingly low and can have drastic effects on health and overall well-being. A recent study of over 7,000 people quantified this well-being on a scale of 1 to 100, and it showed that those who got 8 hours of sleep a night had an overall score of 65.7. Those who got 7 hours a night had a score of 64.2. But those who only got 6 hours of sleep a night dropped off to 59.5. This is quantifiable and irrefutable evidence that sleep is directly related to happiness and overall well-being, and that you need to get the recommended 7 hours of sleep a night. Next, let's talk about sleep and mental health and cognition. Sleep and mental health have been directly related in many studies, and it's been shown that between 10 and 18% of Americans suffer from sleep issues. But in psychiatric patients, this number hangs more around 50 to 80%. For a long time, it was thought that these psychiatric issues in the psychiatric patients were causing the sleep issues. But recently, the thinking has been flipped, and research has been going to show that maybe the sleep issues are causing the psychiatric problems. Harvard has been quoted as saying, sleep problems may increase the risk for developing particular illnesses as well as result from such disorders. This idea is changing how we think about sleep and how we think about mental disorders and their relation. Sleep has also been directly related to mental cognition and long-term memory, and shown that if you don't get enough sleep, your long-term memory will suffer. Not only that, but your short-term memory will suffer. And this short-term memory affects your cognition, your perception of events, and your responses, and ensuring that your responses are socially acceptable. So ensuring that you're getting an adequate amount of sleep is going to affect your relationships with other people. Finally, we're going to talk about sleep and its effects on emotion. Have you ever heard the saying, "Wow, they're grumpy today. They must have woken up on the wrong side of the bed"? Well, this is an old wives' tale, but it is a good example of showing how sleep is directly related to emotion. In 2007, a study was done that kept people awake for 36 hours. They then hooked the brain up to electrodes and did MRI studies, and it showed that those who are sleep deprived were 60% more active in the emotional centers of their brains than those who had adequate sleep. This is a huge discrepancy between the two, and shows that those who don't have adequate sleep are much more likely to be more emotional and more irrational. Based on these three things, sleep and how they're directly related to happiness, sleep, mental cognition, and mental health, and sleep and emotion, you can see that sleep is directly related to your happiness, and it's also directly related to the American dream, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Making sure you get that adequate amount of sleep is the first step to pursuing that American dream and going on and leading a successful life. Thank you for listening to me today, and I hope that I've convinced you that you need to go to bed early and sleep through those 8 a.m.s if you have to.